Welcome back to Close Up. I'm joined now by Chuck Hurley. He is the Vice President and Chief Legal Counsel of the Family Leader. Chuck, thanks for being here.
You bet, Amanda.
I want to talk to you about this new law that Iowa has striking gender identity from its Civil Rights Act. This was something that your organization, fought to pass. You celebrated this as a victory. So what does this mean now for the work that you and your organization do? What will this change for you?
I think the easiest way to describe it, Amanda, is there's a balancing of rights that this bill addresses. There's an old saying that my right to exercise my physicality stops at your nose, right? So you have a right not to be hit. I have a right to be physical up to that point. So what this law does is it says that up until now, the last 18 years, the right of biological males to go into female spaces has been allowed by the law. In fact, males can sue to go into girls' restrooms, locker rooms, and so on. And so with this law passing, that stops. It stops at, in my case, I have 12 grandchildren. These girls come with me to the Capitol frequently. They go into the girls' restroom, which is a multiple use restroom. It's not a single stall. And so their right to be free from a biological male coming into the restrooms in Iowa has been abrogated. Males have had a right to invade their space for 18 years. That ends now. And so this person literally, this male was literally at the state capitol this week and was these people were using the restrooms that my granddaughters use. And so his rights to invade their rights is now ended.
I do want to say that, there is a discrepancy, right, in how people view this, because we heard this week many of those people that were protesting feel that they have a right to access those restrooms based on their gender identity. We now know, though, that was a law that was passed back in 2023 when it came to schools. I know there's a separate law when it comes to public accommodations.
That's right.
I do want to note, though, this discrepancy in law. We heard that a lot on the floor from supporters of this bill. Opponents of this bill, though, say other areas in civil rights protection, housing, education, credit, discrimination in those areas don't necessarily stop someone from using the restroom that they want to use, or stop someone from playing on the sports team that they want to play, or getting a procedure. Housing discrimination or employment discrimination seems to be a completely separate category. So is there not a possibility that those rights still could have been protected?
No, because you have something called strict scrutiny in the law in court cases. I'm a lawyer, and there's also rational basis tests for balancing rights. And if you have carve-outs within a law, then you compare that with the rest of the law, and the courts can throw it out. It's kind of complicated, but basically those were red herrings. Those allegations that there would be discrimination in housing or credit, because we have 27 other states, now 28 with Iowa, who don't have this on the books, and they have not experienced that at all. So that's just not, there was fear-mongering trying to keep Iowa from clearing up the real problem, and that is biological males going into female spaces and sports.
And I do want to note, it is a separate instance comparing those 28 states to Iowa, because those states never had gender identity in their civil rights code to begin with, right? So this would be a separate instance where we're the first state that had this and are taking it out. However, there are many other states that do, not have that.
Sure, and what the legislature passed in 2007, gender identity has never been held by any court as a, quote, fundamental right. It's also not immutable like skin color, okay? And so it really didn't make sense going in the code. In fact, I was there.
Would religion or disability, though, not also be not immutable?
Religion is specified in our Constitution as a fundamental constitutional right. And so that is something that's been held and protected from the beginning of our country. And so what the legislature put in 07, the legislature can take out in 25. It's like changing a rule in a sporting contest and finding out that it leads to many, many more concussions to allow a certain rule. Let's say, you know, hitting the quarterback after he's thrown the ball away. And so rules that get passed in sporting events change back if they're hurting more and more and more players. And that's what we found here. This rule didn't work. It was hurting girls. And so it's perfectly legal, but also very wise to remove a bad rule.
Well, Chuck, that's all the time that we have for our conversation. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
You bet.
We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.